I'm Charles Lucas. I'm the owner of the Budo Dojo. And I'd just like to say welcome to our first video. This is going to be introduction to our channel. And the things I want to talk about with you on this channel, we're going to discuss not just Bujinkan martial arts training, but we will be discussing martial arts training overall martial arts training. I really don't believe in one martial art versus another. I believe in training a person. So regardless of your style, you should be really more concerned about training against another person and keeping yourself in shape. So some key points in these videos are going to be, in the opening of this series will be self-care. How are you caring for your body? Nutrition, diet, exercise. I myself am trying to get back down to my old weight. I used to be 298 pounds. I'm now down to about 270, 273. I've been floating around there for a while now, and I'm trying to get down again. So I'm 43 years old, so the other things we're going to be discussing, doing martial arts over the age of 40 is another concept. So is another concept we're going to talk about. What happens when you reach over 40, how you should be caring for your body, and how do we keep going. This should be a life skill. Martial arts training should be a life skill, and we're going to discuss that. Other things we'll be discussing on this channel, of course, will be traditional, classical, and modern training methods. So this is how I'm going to be shooting. We'll first do some traditional techniques, which honestly in the real world aren't going to be very realistic. And then we're going to show the same techniques with very modern applications, such as tackles, takedowns, right cross, left cross, jabs, punches, lunge punches. We're going to mix it up. But what's really important is first getting your basics down before you can start playing around. And what our Soke likes to talk about is playing. You need to understand basic movement and basic concepts. Really, fighting is about concepts of movement. You're not going to fight a style. You're fighting a human being in front of you. And then, so one of the other things we'll tackle is, once we get through technique and all of that, we're going to talk about your mental state, emotional state, spiritual state. Because losing faith in your technique, losing faith in yourself, is self-defeating. So I've seen people who have no training beat people who are trained. And why do they do that? Me personally, it's because they wanted it more. I wanted to go home. I have to get back to my family. The other person just wanted to show off. Motivation and the motives behind an attack or an assault are equally as important as how you defend yourself from the assault. We're going to be discussing all of these aspects. Like I said, nutrition, mental, emotional aspects, physical training we'll go over. I want you to walk through me as I train. So my primary martial art is Budo Taijutsu, Ninpo Taijutsu of the Bujinkan Dojo, but I am also training in Aikido. I'm going back to Judo starting next year. So I'm gonna bring you with me as I go back through Judo. My first Judo instructor was my father. Learned Judo in the Marine Corps, and then you're going to see me revisit Judo, at 40, and I learned that when I was 5, and now I'm going to be 40, relearning Judo. And we're going to look at two types of Judo. We're going to be looking at Kodokan style Judo, which is the most famous and most wide prominent, and then we're going to be looking at Kosakan Judo, Kosen Judo, and the Kosen Judo is more groundwork. There are different rule sets for Kosakan Judo. So this is where we get Niwaza from. This is where groundwork is going to look on. We're going to look at that. And I'm going to have some instructors come in and demonstrate that. I know a couple of famous ones. And next summer will be my trip to Japan. And I'll be there for about 3 months. So I'm going to be taking you with me, and we're going to be going through that as well. And I just want to take you through training and how to train as a martial artist. Not as a jiu-jitsu person, not as a karate person, not as an aikidoka or judoka, aikido. I want you to train as an individual, as a person, improving yourself and improving your technique. I don't want to have discussions or arguments about effectiveness or this, that, or the other. Effectiveness is really in the eye of who's winning. That's just my opinion. I have friends who train very traditionally and have won street fights. They've beaten guys. I have friends who have lost street fights. And when I start to analyze what's the difference in my father returning back from Vietnam in one piece, roughly, and many of his friends not coming back, they were trained at the same Marine Corps base, they were trained at the same time. And they were trained in the same methods. The Marine Corps really doesn't change their methods. Not in his time, really. It was boxing and judo was the primary form of self-defense those soldiers were taught at that time. And why did he come back? And others did not in the same unit, trained the same way. My analyzation of everything and talking to other martial artists have been, they wanted to live more. They survived more. Sheer dumb luck is also a part of it, you know. Step in a booby trap, decide not to step someplace, step someone else, and the other person behind you doesn't see that you moved over for a reason, and then we feel sorry for the person and he's gone. So their environment is another aspect we'll discuss. So the other aspect of this, what I want to do is, even though we have this nice, beautiful dojo which I built in here, and we're going to practice your basics in here, what I want to do is put on street clothes, and we're going to be going outside in my neighborhood and practicing in real locations, real locales, in real clothing. All martial arts training, regardless of your style, should be practice in the dojo, where it's safe, where it's secure, but you should also be practicing out there in the streets. If you do ukemi, if you're doing rolling, break falls, you should not just practice it in here, you should practice it out there. Everything you should practice. You know, a lot of my friends in the Bujinkan, they start with these long, traditional lunge punches, which are great to get this down, but you also need to practice against, you know, a real cross, a real jab, and they're going to be that quick. You know, every time I sit down and I try to have a self-defense seminar with my own people in my own martial art, and I say, okay, throw a jab, and they do these kind of little things, or they kind of don't know properly how to throw a jab, or they throw it too slowly, or they do this. You know, that's not a real jab. You know, I took boxing. You know, a jab is quick. My elbow's not going to rise up. It's going to come in, and I'm going to shoot it in. If I'm jabbing from an undercut, from across, so to me, there are three types of punches. Lunge punch, which comes from the back, a lead leg, or what we call the jab, and then what we call a cross. And they can be curved, so I can curve up, under, to the side, and hook it in. Still a cross, because it's coming from the opposite side of my body, my hips are turning, and I'm moving. Jab's coming off my lead leg, it's more of a snapping type punch. Lunge punch coming off the rear of my body. Taekwondo people call it a haymaker. Regardless, there's only three types of punches, but they can come at you either straight or curved. You can come up at an angle, it can come up from above. The concept of a punch is just a punch, a kick is just a kick, really only works if you understand all the different ways a punch or a kick can come at you, and you play with them and you experiment with them. So the real goal of what I'm going to try with this channel is to get people to play. Too many martial artists stay in their comfort zone of what they feel comfortable, where they look good. And sometimes you have to be uncomfortable. You have to push your boundaries, push your technique to the point to where you understand why it worked and why it failed. And the only place you can really do that without getting killed is in a nice, safe dojo with friends who are working with you to correct your technique. The other way, the hard way, and the more hardcore way, and there's nothing wrong with this way, is to basically go out, pick a street fight, and the less time you spend in the hospital, the better you get. There's only two ways to do this. And both ways are honestly effective because I've met people from both ways and I respect people. So what I also want to do is create a channel of respect. I know members of my own group are a little out there. We're not all like that, but I want this to be a safe forum for everybody. I'll take critiques, that's fine, but my goal is to make this a safe place for people to learn. My own school is about coming here and learning. My school doesn't just teach martial arts, we also teach shiatsu, reiki, herbology. Here, people come to find themselves and make themselves better in all different ways. It's not just a martial arts center, it's a spiritual center. So I want to provide that to all of you as best I can. Some things are going to be realistic, because I'm trying to teach a particular concept using a traditional kata. And then once that concept is understood, then you need to move to a more modern principle, a higher stance instead of a lower stance. You need to understand the difference between a jab and a cross. You need to understand there's going to be more than one punch. You need to understand these concepts of using circles and lines to move the feet, being able to walk and move around. All of these different things makes the difference in a fight. Standing still and going toe-to-toe with somebody is most likely going to get you hurt. It's going to be about strength and muscle. If I go toe-to-toe with a big guy who's bigger and stronger than me, there's a good chance, unless I get lucky, I'm going to lose. So these are the things I would like to work with you, and you join me in my journey as I get into shape and get myself back in the groove of things. Travel with me to Japan. I would like you to meet, I'm going to try to arrange you to meet my Aikido teacher. He was one of the last ukes of the founder of Aikido. I want you to meet my new judo instructor. I found him just in New York, and he is absolutely amazing. And he's like been doing judo for almost over, like say 40 to 50 years. And he's in a little judo club in the village. And very few people know that he's even there. And I have found these gems in New York of these great individuals that I would like you all to meet. And I want to try to have a variety of different martial artists come and talk about their art as well. Because I think part of the problem is we're trying to look for the superior art, and we're trying to look for the superior style and the superior technique. There isn't none. There is no such thing as a superior art or a superior technique. When you go toe-to-toe with somebody, you go toe-to-toe with a human being. There's strategy involved. Real combat, real fighting involves strategy, being a little sneaky, being a little underhanded, getting damn lucky sometimes, or proper preparation, how you prepare and how you live your life. The few times I've been attacked on the street has been when I lowered my guard. And that's another street awareness, environmental awareness. You can avoid a fight simply by how you stand, how you use your body posture, but you also don't want to look like a target, and you don't want to look like a martial artist, because you're going to get two types of people. If you look like a target, you're going to get someone who's going to try to mug you or try to harm you. If you look like a martial artist, you're going to get a martial artist who's got an attitude, who wants to beat the crap out of you. So other things we're going to talk about are proper etiquette. The same etiquette that you practice in the dojo, you should be practicing in the street with your fellow neighborhood, your community. So we're also going to discuss community and how do you help your community. How do you go about being better? Being a martial artist is about helping your community. At least that's what Soke says. And I do believe, in all honesty, in his belief that when we open up one of our Bujinkan dojos, we should be trying to help our community. We should not be trying to divide our community, we should be trying to help it. So that means you should be getting along with your neighborhood martial artists. I should be able to sit down with the local jiu-jitsu clubs that are around my neighborhood, sit down, have a drink, and we just laugh. And to those of my members of my dojo, who I'm gonna say it right out here, and you're gonna criticize me. I've been training since 1992 in the Bujinkan. I was 18 years old. I'm 43 now. I've been training over 20 years, and there are people who outrank me. I'm a Godan. That's a 5th degree black belt. I'm a Sadoshi. I'm training over 20 years, and there are people who have risen up in our ranks very quickly, who are much higher than me, and they've got bad attitudes. And those attitudes because they believe they have the superior style. You don't. I'm saying here right now, live to you, you don't. What you have are techniques which you then need to use and learn strategy behind, which is what Soke is teaching now. He's teaching us how to be better people, how to use strategy. We're moving beyond technique. And what we need to learn as we grow forward is to move beyond technique. And that means helping your community. It means being a more spiritual person. It means being a better person. It means being able to shrug something off and just walk away from it. It's being in a place where you don't criticize others for their mistakes. Or criticizing people just because they're different. I'm hoping with this channel to promote honest communication, real communication. So if you want to criticize me in the channel, go right ahead. But what I don't want to see is you guys fighting. Make a statement, make an argument, provide evidence of your argument, but no cursing, no calling names, no threatening to beat each other up. This channel, I want to be about promoting martial arts, promoting the styles I love. I just happen to love Jiu-Jitsu, Nimbo Taijutsu, Budo Taijutsu, Aikido. I also do Iaido. I'm going to be learning Kyudo, which is Japanese archery. I learned Shiatsu. I learned Reiki. I just passed my master certification in Reiki. I'm working on my massage therapy certificate now for New York State. You know, there's a life to being a martial artist, and I emphasize the artist part. Learning to do music, learning to do poetry, learning to draw, balancing out the violent half of what we're learning how to do. And of lately, in the martial arts world, I see a lot of angry people. Y'all need to stop being angry and focus on your training. Yes, there are a lot of people who have terrible technique. Every art, every style has some person in it who's just terrible. They're just not good. And you're going to get it. It's like if I have 10 people in my class, I'm only going to really, out of 10 people, get maybe 3 really good students who really are listening to what I'm teaching. That's real. Alright? It's not a good number, it's not a great number, it's just the law of education. This is how education works. If I have 20 people in the room, I'll be lucky to get 6 people who actually are learning. That's just the way it is. Out of 20. You know, the ratio numbers, curves, that's just the way it is. You're always going to also get people who are more concerned about their ego than training. What I like to do, people viewing this channel, people learning what I'm working on, me showing you how I train, how I evolve, how I move forward, is for you to take it to whatever style you have and ask yourself, how do I take what I do and evolve myself? Evolve into someone better, evolve into a better fighter, evolve into a better person. What I want people to get from this channel is growth. I want you to become martial artists. I don't want you to become thugs on the street. I don't want you to want to be called MLA fighters. I think that's a good category to call certain angry people. You know, and they're angry. What I want you to do is become real martial artists. Have discipline of self. Help out your community. And always strive for improvement. Martial arts is not a hobby. It is a lifetime journey that you have partaken in on. And maybe you've had some hardships, and maybe you've gone right, maybe you've gone left, maybe you're not sure. Maybe you spent 20, 30 years in martial arts, or you spent the last 15 years in a martial art, and then you got confused. Why am I doing this? We all have our moments. We all have these moments where we question our style, our art, and for real reasons. You get beat up and you lose. So some people feel it's necessary to blame the style. Well, I lost because of the style. No, you probably lost because you made a stupid mistake, such as maybe you tripped over someone that you knocked out on the floor, you misstepped into a pile of water, you zigged when you should have zagged. I mean, the biggest mistakes I've seen in real fights is never learning how to take a punch. Okay, I use full contact and contact in my school because I don't want people freezing. This idea of not being able to get hit, not, you know, that shock effect. The worst thing I've seen trained people do is if they've never actually been hit, they spend all their time learning how to get out of the way of things. And I actually had a young martial artist in my own martial art say to me, well, I'll just get out of the way. I'm like, reality, if you walk into a knife fight, you're going to get cut. You walk into a gunfight, there's a possibility of you getting shot. You walk into a street fight, there's a possibility of you getting punched. And if you're